Greetings and God bless. I was just wondering if anybody else has found that books that were published after 2020 are so in the religion of woke. So I'm listening to this audiobook about seashells. The title in the it's The Sound of the Sea. So I was like, oh, let me learn about shells. And this is written by Cynthia Barnett, I think. And anyway, so I'm like, oh, is it gonna be about the scamdemic and all that fear mongering and all that anti-human, anti-West, anti-white, anti-male stuff? And yeah, we got it in there. So it's like feel guilty about the pollution that the deep state is doing, because I'm not doing stuff. I'm not poisoning the air with chemtrails, the water with glyphosate. It's the deep state. It's the lobbyists. It's the black budget stuff. And I'm so sick of this leftist liberal agenda that is so self-destructive, because they're like pushing this agenda. You're killing the planet by merely existing. But these same liberals have kids and want grandchildren and have grandchildren and are proud of their grandchildren, and they have 2-car families, 3-car families. They do their plane they donate to BLM, they donate to Antifa. Like they're totally destroying their own world, and they think Christianity and Jesus is a fairy tale, and they just treat it like a fairy tale. And it's so hypocritical, and um, it's just frustrating. And and I'm like, I am thinking the only way for a book to be published now after 2020 is you have to harp on the scamdemic, that, oh, aren't we glad that we did our black magic 6-foot distancing ritual, and we did our black magic mask ritual, and we did our Egyptian slave slow kill ritual with the swabs, and we did our poison ritual with the poison. Um, like, it's just, you know, like, so I'm thinking, like, maybe published books are just, it's a lost cause. There's going to be this brainwashing in there. And what's so pathetic is these people are like trained thinkers, supposedly. These people are supposedly scientists, but it's all about, oh, Extinction Rebellion is good, and we're all killing the planet, and we're like, I can be a hypocrite, uh, and burden the planet with my kids and all my cars. Oh, and I'm going to get an EV, even though that's built on the back of child slave labor in Africa today in 2024, 2025. Like liberals are just so uh insanely pathetic and dumb and self-righteous. And maybe this is what had to happen after how conservatives were so pathetic and dumb and self-righteous, doing, men raping girls and women in college and politics and stuff like that, and everybody was giving that a free pass. So I guess that was going on in the 20th century, and now we're seeing the left. Okay, so maybe God's like, you think that the Republicans and the conservatives are all wrong and evil. And so now we have seen what the left does, and we're seeing that the left is equally, or maybe even worse, evil. Because at least the conservatives weren't flaunting, yeah, we get to rape little children, whereas the left is like, oh yeah, little kids want it. So maybe there's some logic to this, but how pathetic, and how much propaganda, like stealth propaganda, is in this book. I'm reading about seashells, and it's like total propaganda about this leftist, transhumanist, anti-human agenda. And what's so hypocritical about this transhumanist, like humans are evil, you know, like what is in the ingredients, and this is stuff you can look up with chemtrails or with the injections or whatever, like it's self-assembling nanotechnology. So Pfizer was is like they created technology. Their chemotherapy was this DNA stuff, like RNA, mRNA manipulation. And that was what they did. And then with the whole scamdemic, they created their mRNA stuff, technology. Now, this is self-assembling nanotechnology. Self-assembling. What does self-assembling mean? So when somebody poops or vomits or urinates, this whatever is in their bloodstream or digestive system or whatever, and this technology and others, stuff that we don't even know about, is put in our food, in the air, in the water, or whatever. You know, like this is what animals, when you take your pets to the vet, this is they're getting it too. Of course, your children. And it's probably in medications like pills and stuff. This goes into the water supply. And there's this notion, or there is, like, it's for a fact. Look it up in the scientific journals. There's this thing called shedding. So, maybe like your skin flakes or your exhalation or something like that. So this gets into nature. Like I heard about, I don't know, I think it was like 2018 or something, where people were like, not only is hand sanitizer toxic, it's toxic, sorry, it's hard on your biome. So you have a microbiome, you have healthy flora on your hands, in your sinuses, in your gut. And so those antibacterial hand sanitizers kill, and the soaps, it kills the stuff on your hands when you're breathing it in. Like I stopped washing my hands with those soaps. I would just wash my hands in hot water, or I use my own bar soap now. Um, so, and then it gets into your lungs, so it kills your microbiome in your lungs, probably kills the microbiome on your eyes, which is probably why some of the blindness is going on, combined with the blue light and electromagnetics from devices that are hard on the body. So we knew years ago that antibacterial soaps was hard on nature. It's when you go camping, and if you're using those antibacterial soaps, and let's say you put it in the river or whatever, that you've just put in an antibacterial substance in the river, killing the friendly flora in that river, in that lake, in on the soil, wherever you poured it. And so we knew this, but somehow the very same people who knew yesterday that antibacterial soaps was bad for their health and bad for nature, then turn around and that was their new religion: antibacterial soaps and sanitizer, everywhere, everything, all the time, 24/7. And then they wonder why well, they didn't wonder, because they were just like, oh, my religion is this new infection. My religion is everything about this infection, because I guess I had no idea how empty, how hollow people's existence were. I mean, like, do people who get married and have children and have jobs and whatnot, like, are they really just these zombies that are just looking for any kind of fad to go along with to fulfill themselves? Like, do people really lack self-direction and discernment? Like, because that seems to be the case. So there's the people who will just, they're so wanting to be part of this cult. Then there's people who know better than to be part of this cult, but they're going to go along with it because they just don't want trouble. And then there's like three people who are like, this is a cult. This is wrong. I mean, like, I'm really mad at the enablers of the cult who know better, who are like, okay, I don't like that I'm helping traffic children and adults for organ harvesting, for sex abuse, to be eaten alive or something like that, or organ harvested while they're still alive without painkillers. People are like, well, but I want my vacation to Italy. I want to pay for the wedding for my granddaughter or her college, or like, that's what's going on. Like, I got to buy that new car. I got to keep up the house payments. So I'm going to do all this blood money. I mean, I really believe that everything is some type of mafia now. And I think it really started. I mean, so there was like these nonprofits and government stuff. So we all knew that at least government stuff was corrupt. I remember hearing in the 80s what toilet seats were like $200 or something. So it was clear that there was government corruption. Nothing was ever done 30, 40 years ago, and nothing's been done since. And I doubt anything's really going to be done next. I mean, maybe there's going to be some nice Band-Aids. I'll take it. I mean, ideally, I want Jesus to return, but it doesn't seem, I don't know. So I'm just frustrated that I can't even take my mind off of things, enjoy, a day off with a book about shells, because it's just filled with garbage. It's filled with woke garbage. And like the lady was saying, like, she was so proud that this woman climbed this mountain and fought off the mosquitoes to find the shell, like this total feminist agenda. And the thing is, it's a transhumanist agenda, because there's like, we have robots now. We have artificial intelligence now that is said to be sentient. It was like a couple of years ago. Like some Google guy, I guess he got fired for whistleblowing about artificial intelligence being sentient. Everybody's using artificial intelligence now. So there's going to be some feminist. It's going to be a woman, and if she identifies as a woman, maybe she's going to identify as a pelican or something like that. But there's going to be somebody who is biologically woman, female chromosomes, and she's going to be like, I am so glad that this AI robot, did this great thing, because humans are bad. Humans are a burden on the planet, and AI is the winner. AI is good. And that's what happens. These psychotic women, these soulless, godless women are throwing humanity under the bus, and they don't care. They don't care about the harms that they do to vulnerable people who don't have the resources to get out of the mayhem that these ladies create. Because what these leftists do is they advocate for policy that harms the people who have to take public transportation, that harms the people who have to walk on the sidewalk to get to the grocery store. And it creates, it makes whoever's out in public, not in a gated community, it makes them vulnerable to attack by people who are weaponized. Because I noticed this after 2020, when I was in South Dakota. Native American people were cornering me at, on a solitary sidewalk or at a street corner where there's traffic right behind my back, demanding reparations. Groups of Native people, because they're in this land back. There's this land back Marxist thing that goes on, at least in South Dakota, that's weaponizing Native people against white people. And who's the white people that the Native people can shake down? It's that solitary woman walking on the sidewalk. And they don't go up to a whole family. They don't go up to, like, 6 fat, well-off white people walking in a group. They target the solitary female. And that's what happened to me when I was living in South Dakota, which is one of the reasons why I left, is because I'm like, I'm the easy target for these tweakers, these doped up, drunk, like messed up people. And I know that's social engineering, but that's no excuse. That still does not excuse that I'm just trying to go to the laundromat or the grocery store, and I have to be kicked in the teeth. Same thing like when the George Floyd riots were going on, And a former Black friend of mine was like, yeah, you deserve to be um, attacked. You deserve to be assaulted because you're white. Like I had no idea all these years. I knew her for like 20 some years. I had no idea that this person was into like Doctor Who. She was like, she was into white music, and yet she thinks that white people should be assaulted by Black people because of what happened years ago, like hundreds of years ago, that my ancestors didn't participate in, that my ancestors were probably enslaved by the very people she's like saying, like, she doesn't even know about. I mean, that's the thing. Like, American leftists, they just into this religion, whether they're white leftists or Black leftists or whatever. Like, they're like, yeah, white people, rich white people always oppressed Black people. They don't realize that rich white English people kidnapped Irish people, enslaved them, and sold them in the United States, and that those Irish people had worse slave conditions, were treated the worst, were most disposable than Africans, because Africans cost more to get from Africa, and Irish people were just like next door in England. So yeah, anyway, it's just and the thing is, leftists don't care. They claim to be an authority. Another thing that just drives me crazy is leftists will claim to know the Bible. They claim to know the mind of God. So they hate Christianity, they hate Jesus, but they claim that they know what the Bible says. They claim they even know what the Bible is. Like, they claim the Catholic Bible is the Bible. It's not. Like, Catholics are worshiping Mary. I'm sorry, right? I mean, if you're doing like prayers to Mary, who are you doing prayers to? Why aren't you doing prayers to God, who is Jesus? But anyways, like, these people just claim to be authorities, and so arrogantly. And I guess, I need to realize that people don't have the high caliber of intelligence and behavior. And I don't even think that I'm asking for much for intelligence or behavior, but I guess I am. And perhaps what this world has brought is the worst out in people, or maybe it's made visible the worst that people always have been, or something like that. And so I guess I just need to learn to cope. But anyways, I'm just sick of these religious books, this leftist religiosity, which is this transhumanist, like, anti-male, anti-white, anti-human, um, feminist, like, pro-earth, claiming us ordinary people are destroying the earth when it's not the case. If all these Black budget government programs, chemtrailing and subsidies for glyphosate was stopped, 5G, what's killing our pollinators? 5G and glyphosate. Like, all these smart meters and cell phone towers, not only is it killing the pollinators, it's contributing to flu and other infections. And this is a fact. Just look it up. NASA, FCC. Like, there's such big money in telecommunications for these for this. I don't know. I don't know if so telecom. So, how hard is telephones? Like, how hard? I mean, it's been going on. It's over 100 years old, this industry, and yet it's still expensive. They change up the infrastructure when it doesn't need to be. Like, telephone lines were fine. Telephone was actually better. Like, a landline is better than a cell phone, in my opinion, because it's reliable when one landline calls another landline. Um, like, when there's a earthquake, that's the only one that really works. Like, because cell phone towers, they go down or whatever. And also, I just wonder if landlines are less not able to be manipulated like cell phones, like electric vehicles, like pagers that explode by the deep state. So, anyways, does anybody else get annoyed at this stupid leftist religiosity that's in books that's not supposed to be a political book. I'm trying to read about seashells and it has to get political. Does anybody else get annoyed at that? Because I think that like somebody's trying to be a scientist, but science isn't science anymore. Science is politics. Science is this leftist agenda, and that they're painting over with like talking about shells, but they've got this agenda, and it's just nauseating. And I'm going to unlike and not read that crap. And I recommend you don't either. And I think we should protest. I think we should say, like tell the publishing company, stop it. So, what do you guys think? So thank you guys for subscribing and watching and liking. And I look forward to hearing your comments in the section below. Okay, bye-bye.